Good morning. It's 9:30, and I'm going to call the meeting to order. We have a quorum, so we will go ahead. And Cash is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Would everyone stand, please?
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. I do not see the globe, but we are on air, so we have coverage there. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda? Is there a second? Is there any discussion? We are going to add one thing to the agenda, and I'll put it as part of the report of the chair. We're going to introduce the neighboring people at that point, and so that's just going to be part of the report of the chair.
I have a quick correction.
Yes.
A quick question. For GRF committee highlights, report committee activity committee, is that Director Skillman? Are you going to present?
You were both there.
Yeah, so if you want to present, go ahead.
Okay.
When the time has come. Okay.
We'll worry about that. That's not a big deal.
Okay.
Anything else, anybody? Okay, can I have a vote?
Okay, who seconded that, excuse me?
I seconded it,
Carl?
yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was a second. I'm always second.
You're second. So
No,
let's
you're
please
first.
vote.
I'm second.
Vote is done, I think, Carl. Okay, I'd like to let you know that the Globe has arrived, so we do have full coverage, and I want to welcome her today, the media. Okay, next is the approval of the minutes of December 10th. Are there any, can I have a motion to approve them?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Can I have a second, please? Carl? Okay.
Who fought for a second there, Carl again?
I was second again.
Okay. Is there any corrections? Yes, Elsie?
I already spoke with Cheryl. I spoke with Cheryl this morning, Madam President, before the meeting, and there were some Scribner's errors, and I would like to, and she's corrected them, and I would like to amend the motion to approve the minutes as amended. Not the minutes,
As corrected.
Yeah, as corrected, yeah, sorry, as corrected. Approval of the meeting minutes as corrected for December the 10th.
Okay. Is there any discussion on this? Cash? Is it a Scribner error, or is it?
One of the, no, that's right.
Okay, we can get it corrected, and we'll do that. Okay, let's have a vote on that, please. Okay, the vote is taken. Okay, I've got a quick director's comments. I attended the Chinese New Year, and Andre would like to wish us all a Happy New Year, Chinese New Year.
Happy New Year, 新年快乐. I wish everybody have a prosperous year ahead, and wish that we will I definitely hope that we accomplish a lot on this board under the leadership of Sue. Thank you very much.
The performance was delightful, and the theme was harmony, and I'd like this year to be a good year for all residents. We need to take care of each other, respect each other, and find a way to live in harmony. There are many volunteer opportunities in the village, and I'm hoping everybody will get involved in activities and take advantage of what is offered. Please step up with acts of kindness. Do your part to make this a tranquil and hospitable place to live. Now, I'd like to call on Cash to introduce the neighboring people, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Handyman program was introduced back in 2018, and the first pilot, we found many errors, and then we had to stop it and regroup, and we started a task force, a handyman task force, and the committee together decided to break up the issues into 3 different parts. And one of my duty as the chair, I started investigating and came across a young gentleman who has been doing this work on small chores for even our social services department. And we would like to introduce him and go from there. His name is Josh Mundell, and the company name is Neighboring, and they provide small tasks. I wouldn't call it like handyman, but college students that he has already cleared with proper background checks, and it's like a win-win situation and we will be talking more about it, but Josh Mundell is the CEO, and I thought he would be interested in coming here. If you want to talk a few words, go ahead, Josh. Right in there. Yeah, thanks. Keep it brief, please.
Yes, absolutely. So one is thank you for having me here. We are very excited as a company to be able to engage with Laguna Woods Village. We currently provide light handyman services, anything from flipping mattresses, changing light bulbs, gardening. We understand that life gets hard and that people just need help with day-to-day things. So we connect them with background-checked college students within the area. So youthful connections, we want to bring life into this community, and you know, it's an amazing community, and that we can just be a resource for people here. So thank you for today, and we look forward to a fruitful relationship within 2020.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Josh.
Okay, we'll go to open forum. Can we have the first speaker, Cheryl?
Okay, our first speaker is Chris Collins.
Good morning. Chris Collins, 3306Q. I'm here with an update on the work of the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village on behalf of residents who are experiencing temporary financial crisis. Neighbors Helping Neighbors reflects the spirit of the holidays and village clubs and organizations, and has made the Foundation's motto a reality with many generous donations in 2019. The Foundation of Laguna Woods Village is the organization whose sole mission it is to assist people. Donations to the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village help the Foundation sustain emergency assistance to help village residents facing hard times, and to adopt nearly 150 seniors living in the village who receive special holiday cheer. With the help of social services and the South County Outreach Food Pantry, the Foundation was able to provide a special holiday meal and a gift card to those 150 seniors. The Foundation is exceedingly grateful for all club and individual donations, which helped us address all the needs referred for assistance this past year. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Ajit Gawadi.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ajit Gidwani. I'm the Director of Communications for Village Community Fund. Diane Phelps spoke to this meeting last month to make aware of Village Community Fund to solicit projects. I am happy to report we have received a couple of project requests. One is a request for funds from volunteer group that is trying to stop the spread of an aggressive mosquito that is new to our area. The other is from a club that needs new athletic equipment. In the coming months, once these project requests have been approved, I will have more details to provide. Last month, Diane also asked for donations, and I'm happy to report we have received them as well. I want to thank those of you who have contributed either by mailing a check to Village Community Fund at P.O. Box 2452, Laguna Hills, 92654, or by using PayPal on our website, villagecommunityfund.org. The newest way you can make a contribution to Village Community Fund won't cost you a penny. Do you buy things online on Amazon? Do you know if you type in smile.amazon.com instead of just amazon.com, Amazon Smile Foundation will make a donation to a charity of your choice. If you select Village Community Fund as your charity, a donation will be made to us. It won't cost you anything. If for some reason you don't want to donate to Village Community Fund, they have many charities to choose from, including Laguna Village Foundation. I want to remind you that Village Community Fund is a 501c3 charitable organization whose mission is to provide for programs, services, and facilities that enrich the lives of older adults. Contributions to the fund are deductible to the extent allowed by law. I ask you to please make donation via PayPal on our website, villagecommunityfund.org, or by sending a check to Village Community Fund at P.O. Box 2452, Laguna Hills, 92654, or by listing us as your charity of choice on smile.amazon.com. If you would like funding for a project, request forms are available on our website. If you have any questions, feel free to call us at 949-467-1030. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, our next speaker is Jan Blake.
Please turn off all your phones. Please turn off your cell phones.
Jan Blake, 481N. Due to time constraints, I'm going to paraphrase John Beckett's letter from the Globe, January 9th, last Thursday. Want reserve account balances. And as a 20-year resident here, I'd like to know what the account reserve balances are myself. Mr. Beckett writes, Village Management Services claims that on December 31st, 2018, they had $27.8 million set aside in Golden Rain Foundation accounts, but the auditors found insufficient evidence to verify VMS's claim.
Excuse me, but that is a GRF issue and is not a United issue. We will.
It's our reserves.
It's a GRF reserve that you're discussing. It is not the United Reserve, which is separate from the GRF.
Oh, well, then I stand corrected. I apologize.
That's okay, and we will, Jeff will respond to you, but we don't take time. We won't take time here for it, okay?
I'd just like to know, has Mr. Beckett's question been answered?
Yes, it has.
Yes.
Thank you.
Has he received the records?
Jeff, you wanted to?
We're preparing the answer for him with regards to the detailed questions that he had. We're
Okay.
putting together that response, and we'll be getting it to Mr. Beckett.
Appreciate that, Mr. Parker. Thank you.
And I can,
Jan, would you like to be added to the list for the response?
we can do that.
Our next speaker is Monica Zhang.
Good morning, everyone. And my name is Monica Zhang, Z-O-N-G, I'm sorry. And I'm here because I just want to, I'm a resident here, and I want to bring the awareness of a shortage of our EV charge of this community. And I have been communicating with Chris from Village Energy Force, Task Force, and we've been talking about this, how we can change the situation, because like I said, we have a, not 100, 17,000 households here, but I literally only have a 10 charge behind this building. And like one of the car I have, hi, I saw you again. And the carpool situation you can charge the golf carts by the car I have, and for the 110 power source, I literally only can charge 1 mile to 1.5 mile per hour. So what I've been trying to find a way to solve the problem. I proposed to the village, if we could, for those people who has a demand and need a charge, we can change the power source for them. We're willing to pay some money to change that and to pay monthly fee for that, like right now the current policy is. But I know I'm going to go to all the meetings just to bring the awareness and then the demand we need for that, because this is the future. We have to change. I didn't mean change the whole village, but whoever needs that, we can assist them. And we're willing to pay something to get it out solved. Thank you for your time.
Okay, our next speaker is Maxine McIntosh.
Good morning, neighbors. I wanted to reference the idea of United supporting a questionnaire for our community. How many of us in the United Mutual really knows what their average resident thinks about United? He or she may not volunteer and probably doesn't call the service desk 10 times a week to find out when the grass is going to be cut. But his or her opinion and the opinions of all United residents should be heard. The first advantage of the survey is to make people feel heard, to show that you're listening and you care what they have to say. I found the helpful called Just Asking packet of tips and tools for surveying residents has been published by the Community Associations Institute, CAI, Community Associations Institute. Written by C.J. King, he acknowledges the board members may anxiously imagine being buried by a cascade of complaints and objectives on a survey. But he states that survey responses are pretty positive. He designs an annual survey for a large retirement community in another state that everyone is given each year. He continues, and after all survey answers are not votes or binding agreements of any kind. You don't need to be afraid of them. They're simply a way to spark communication about issues that might affect everyone in United Mutual. One popular question, which could be included, might be, do you have any suggestions on how the association can better serve residents? Absolute 100% confidentiality, of course, must be guaranteed. Good questionnaires impose a low response burden on our residents and remain both respondent and interviewer friendly. The opening questions should be easy and interesting to complete. This board, another thing, I wish you would consider having your board join the CAI of South Orange County. I was invited as a friend before I...
members.
Oh, you are? Oh, wonderful. I didn't know that. Those meetings taught me more than I could have possibly have learned outside of my board assignment my first year. That's wonderful. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Okay, our next speaker is Elizabeth Kramer.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Kammer, 58D, and I've had some personal experiences the past few months that have caused me some concerns. Beginning of December, neighbors saw some items of clothing scattered around in the bushes beneath my bedroom window. I called security. An officer came out, and his demeanor seemed very unconcerned. I couldn't see a name tag, nor did he take a report. He asked me if I knew the person who left the clothing. Next, he asked me if I had found the articles of clothing in the dumpster. He picked up the clothing and shoes and also the black trash bag and put everything in the dumpster. I called the officer's watch commander and told him about the officer's strange demeanor and questions. The watch commander then told me that the clothing was probably left by a homeless person. He also told me the person who rides a red bike has been spotted in our area several times, and that there are also homeless people within the premises of our section of Laguna Woods. They are located in Aliso Creek. He said that Laguna Woods Security works closely with the Sheriff's Department. There has been a spate of instances of theft in our carports and surrounding areas. It seems that people that have no business being in our village are finding out the best locations to hide and steal things. Why is our security department not working with the Sheriff's Department to flush these non-residents out? The potential for rape, assault, more theft, and robbery should be taken more seriously than it is. Also, I have not observed, as well as some other neighbors, the presence of security vehicles patrolling after dusk. I came home late after Thanksgiving Day, no lights on in the carports. I noticed them on during daylight hours the following day. Called VMS, had to explain repeatedly to the person on the phone what the issue was. It took several days for resolution. The gate arms on gate 2 are still not adequately fixed, and I have tried for the past several months to have somebody come out and properly clean up my corner lot. It is a mess, it's unsightly. The responses I get are, we'll have somebody come out there. We're here to tell you that we're not the ones who can fix the issue. We've sent somebody out there. It's not on the schedule. It's not under our jurisdiction. Someone came out and knocked on my door to tell me this. We don't have the manpower. We can't be everywhere at once. This from the chief security officer regarding the homeless issue in our village. In my experience, the overall quality of customer service has deteriorated in the 4 years that I've lived in the village. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Dick Rader.
Morning, Dick Rader, 270D. With regard to bringing up John Beckett's letter, we heard that there's going to be a response to him and also to this young lady, but I wonder, is there a mechanism by which the other readers of the Globe who have similar concerns might get the response? That's item 1. Item 2, the last one. I know in the consent calendar for successive meetings, we approve removal of trees, and that's fine. I wonder, is there some way, are we doing it now perhaps, whereby every tree that's removed, we replace it with another one somewhere else in the village? I think that would be a good idea.
Okay, our next speaker is Nancy Lannon.
Good morning, Nancy Lannon, 669, N is in Nancy. I'm concerned about the segment of this day of January 3rd that I viewed. In this, I learned that there's possibly a proposal where the board members no longer are going to be able to sign off on the leases and the sales. I find that this is objectionable to me for many reasons. In the past, we had a situation where a staff member with previous management had complete control of the garden plots, held them hostage for financial gain for his own purposes. I'm not casting aspersions or implying any kind of impropriety upon the current staff, but I don't think you should put temptation in their path. And what you're doing when you have only the staff signing off on these sales and leases, you are giving them supreme power because they're allowing people to enter and live in the village. And I'm sorry to say that I don't think you ought to put temptation into their path by offering this. These staff people do not live here. They have no vested interest other than the fact that they are employed here, and we certainly appreciate them. I just feel that this is not a good thing. And as far as expediency goes, I think it's oversight. You have audits for financial correctness. Why not have oversight from the board members on the people that buy and lease in here? And I also heard that we have so many harsh laws here. Well, unfortunately, if somebody does something egregious that imposes upon another member or other members, and there's no law that says you can't do it, then you have to make a law to do it. So unfortunately, you do have a lot of laws, but those laws are what make a community work. Thank you for your time.
That concludes our speakers for open forum.
I would like to thank all the residents who came forward. The board appreciates your input, whether it's positive or negative. It gives us the pulse of the village, and I'd really like to thank you. Now, Jeff is going to respond to the ones that he can, and we will have.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. With regards to Ms. Blake, we'll get the information to you when we have that all pulled together. Correlating that to Mr. Rader, we will consider whether or not putting a response letter into the Globe, depending on what the details of that are and whether that's the appropriate place to do that, but it will be considered. With regards to Mrs. Elizabeth Kammer's concerns, and we will certainly investigate that, especially with the cleanup. We do know that in the past we have had some concerns with regards to homeless people in and around the area, but we do, as she mentioned, our security director works directly with the Orange County Sheriff's Department with those kind of issues. It's an increasing activity in Orange County, and the Orange County Sheriff's Department is well involved with us in that area. But I'll look into the other concerns that she had. And I do want to mention that one of the things she indicated was Gate 2. Gate 2 has had a problem with one of the electrical elements of the gates. That piece of equipment is on order. Once it's in, then we'll have that completed. But it is operational. It's just that the one side's not working as perfectly as well with the electronics that we need to get updated and completed in that area. So that will be happening in the next few weeks. With regards to the sign off on that, we've had discussions with the board about the process of signing off, and the board has indicated that they don't want to just give carte blanche direction to the staff to sign off, that there would be an auditing process, that there would be sign-offs only on the ones that are standardized and meet all the requirements, that's a potential to look at, but with an auditing process by the board. And then those leases or sign-offs that would require any kind of interpretation of whether somebody's met the requirements would go to a committee. So that's at least the dialogue that we've had so far. No final decision's been made on that, but we'll continue to work with the board on that. The suggestion we'll throw back maybe to the landscape committee with regards to the trees removed, trees replaced policy, and take a look at that. And the last one I want to mention is that we are taking a look at the ideas and concepts with regards to a survey. So addressing Maxine McIntosh. I don't think there's anybody opposed to the survey. It's a question of how do we look at doing a survey, and is it a village-wide survey versus just one of the mutuals? We're investigating that, and we'll come back with a report. So that's it.
Carl, would you address the EV, please?
So, Ms. Zong, oh, she's not here anymore. Anyway, she was at the Village Energy Task Force meeting, and it was noted that the EV charging stations behind here that are the 220-volt ones, okay, that provide for a shorter time period for the various different vehicles, except for the Teslas. The Teslas require some sort of an adapter. And we have been looking into the possibility of purchasing an adapter, okay, and then having people come to the desk over here and then pull the adapter out, and we have them leave their license, okay, so that we can get it back. However, there's been some people who have noted that if we do that, the people have absconded with the adapter while it's sitting in plugged into somebody's car. So we'd have to have some way of locking the thing, okay? It gets complicated, okay? I mean, we're trying to do the right thing. We do know that it doesn't address Teslas here in the back, okay? And she happens to own a Tesla. And that adapter is like $500 or $600, and we would be willing to buy one or two of these, okay, and keep them here at the desk, and then have people, as I say, not rent them out, but take them and leave their license instead, okay? And then we found out that people can possibly just rob them, and that has happened in the past. Not here, but in other places. So we have to look into that. With regard to additional EV charging stations, as we all know and noted in various different M&C committee meetings and the Village Energy Task Force, trying to get electric charging here in the community without costing us millions of dollars to upgrade all of our infrastructure is something we are looking into, but it is something that's not easily done. And one of the things was to have strategic EV charging stations at various places within the community, like at laundry rooms or what have you, whereby we do have excess capacity, okay, to be able to support those particular charging stations, and we are looking into that. But we don't have a magic bullet right now. So the only thing we've got is these charging stations and using the one in your carport, and it might take you overnight, and then you have to share it with your neighbors because of the fact that you'll pop the breaker if two people are on the same circuit. And that's all I have to offer. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I do have one comment for Carl. Tesla owners probably are very well aware that they don't have this adapter at every station, and they may be buying their own. Why don't we look into that and have our Tesla owners buy their own unit?
Yes, that is an option, okay, but at this particular point in time, we noted that to her and told her that she could use it in the back if she had an adapter, but maybe she's unwilling to pay the $500 or $600 for the adapter. We looked at the possibility of offering that to our residents, but there are complications with that. So yes, that's that option too, okay, whereby they can buy this adapter on their own since they spent $36,000 or $45,000 for the Tesla, another $600 for an adapter. But I'm just saying they have the opportunity to use these charging stations over here. They just need an adapter for a Tesla.
Go ahead, Hon.
This is not in response to any of the questions, but I would urge that anybody comment to the open forum to stay with us. Maybe we can add it in the statement that please stay until we respond. Otherwise, we don't want to explain the same answer in multiple places. Thank
Okay,
you.
and we will respond at the next meeting in full, and that's the next item on the agenda. Neda will give the responses to last meeting's questions.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. For the updated from the December 10th board meeting, 10 resident commented in the open meeting. No resident comments require staff follow-up. But I'm summarizing it for you. Miss Chris Colling, commented on the benefit of Laguna Wood Foundation. Resident Connie Viases, building captain for building 8H6Q, The item is distributed letter and spoke about lift in 886 Ronda Sevilla to the upstairs that breaks down frequently. Ms. Weiss's resident obtained board approval and paid $28,000 to have lift installed in 2002. Ernesto, maintenance and construction director, had staff investigated wheelchair lift at building 886. Staff met with Amtech, elevator mechanic, and Ms. Weiss's on site. Mechanic stated that several weeks prior to letter being distributed, he had found loose wire on a control panel and made repair. He believed it may have contributed to intermittent problem. Also noted was possibility of motor overheating because of main screw lubrication device. Mechanic checked lubrication while on site and asked Ms. Weiss if there had been any issue since panel repair was made. She couldn't recollect any. Mechanic agreed to continue to monitor lift, and Ms. Weiss would call MNC staff directly if lift malfunctioning. To date, no calls have been received, and Amtech will continue to monitor the lift. Resident Adel Warner, 786, wants bus bench installed for use when waiting for bus. And the respondent, Chris, General Service Director, talked with Ms. Warner about her request. Chris informed her that there are no benches in stock and are in process of purchasing new benches. Current style is not offered any longer. Once benches are in stock, this will be added to the list for installation. And Kerry Stylus spoke about board member behavior at meeting and animosity among members. Rhonda Linder suggested board members to evaluate each matter as it comes forward and not to vote in blocks. Ms. Diane Phelps encouraged residents to donate to the Village Community Fund. And for residents, Ms. Maxine McIntosh, Easter Wright, Nancy Lennon, and Dick Rader expressed concern about alternative to discontinue handyman service program. And Ms. Nancy spoke in support of appointing Ms. Mary Stone to the VMS Board of Directors. Thank you so much.
All right. Dorothy, would you come and give us the VMS update, please?
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dorothy Pacella, and I'm the United representative on the VMS board. I have a quick update for you this morning, so let's get to it. First thing we're doing is this year is we're onboarding. It is a new year. It's a new term year. It's a new calendar year, and happy Chinese New Year. So what we're going through, and last week was our first meeting, we're onboarding 3 new members on the VMS board, and we have a new chair, Wei Ming. So we're hard at work now, beginning to orientate ourselves and work together as a new team with our roles and responsibilities. So that's number 1. Number 2, we've talked in the past about our key strategic objectives for the next 3 to 5 years. And attached to all of those are our key performance indicators, so we can measure ourselves against the accomplishments of those objectives. They're well underway. And so as we begin to accomplish those, close those, and have some firm indication in terms of our accomplishments, we will come back to you on our monthly update and let you know how we're doing. Lastly, number 3, Sue has shared with us a list of wonderful ideas for our projects, and those key points for us within VMS, so we can begin to raise the bar for our process improvement and provide better service to all of our members. So we're going to start looking at that at VMS, incorporate it into our assessments in terms of how we operate, and to our degree, we want to raise the bar, do process improvement, and not only provide better service for the United board member, United residents, but it will benefit all residents in the village. So we're on board with Sue. We're going to do what we can, and everything that we can to improve our processes in an ongoing process improvement, and we're committed to that. Thanks for your attention.
Jeff, I put you on the hot seat again.
Madam Chair and members of the board, I don't have a lot to say today, which is probably good news. But I did want to kind of piggyback on what Dorothy just indicated, that we obviously had our strategic plan update in November. From that strategic plan, we have 6-month initiatives that we have recorded and have started to work on. And the staff is diligently recording the steps and processes to meet those initiatives, which then fold into what Dorothy also mentioned, which is within that KPIs are going to be the tool, one of the tools that we do to indicate that we're accomplishing those goals. And then finally, wrapping that back into strategic initiatives by not only United, but GRF, Third, and BMS together, having strategic initiatives for this next year so that we can focus on the critical areas that we want to make accomplishments and what we want to see improvements. As part of that process, we already started, and I'm sure there'll be comments later, GRF started yesterday having a meeting with regards to their capital improvement projects. We're looking at not only this year and last year's, but also putting together a 10-year capital project that really gets a better sense of where we're at strategically with all our capital items coming down the way and how we're going to go about financing and coming up with a finance program for that. We'll obviously keep you updated on that. And I'm going to turn over to Siobhan. She has a few items to present.
Honorable President, members of the board, just want to give you a few updates as we move into the new year. First off, the 2020 census will be kicking off soon. In mid-March, March 12th to 20th, residents will begin receiving their invitations on how to participate in the 2020 census. Most Laguna Woods residents will receive an internet choice mailing. This will provide information on how they can participate by telephone or online. The remaining areas of Laguna Woods will receive what is called an Internet First mailing. So these residents will be invited to participate online. And if they don't participate online, they will receive a subsequent mailing in April with a hard copy questionnaire to complete. So just please keep an eye out. It's important that everyone gets counted, as the census is important to funding and other benefits to the community. Just a reminder that transportation enhancements will kick off next Monday, January 20th. These are the changes to the fixed route bus services and the supporting services. There's an informational meeting tomorrow, Wednesday, January 15th at 11 a.m. in Clubhouse 1, if you haven't been to one of the meetings yet. And then there's another meeting on Wednesday, January 29th at 10 a.m. in Clubhouse 1. Staff is available at Clubhouse 1 every morning from 9 a.m. to noon to answer your questions one-on-one as it pertains to the upcoming changes to the transportation system. Vehicle decals were mailed to all residents for 2020. If you need help of fixing your new stickers, you can come into the Resident Services Center and they will help you change your sticker. And we are open every day from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. to help you with that. And wanted to mention that Laguna Woods has moved their city broadcasts from Channel 31 to Channel 3. This standardizes the station with the station that every other municipality virtually uses, which is Channel 3. And this also gives the city's content greater visibility. So please look to Channel 3 for any city information. And lastly, if you still have live Christmas trees, these can get picked up on Fridays by the Landscape Division. You simply call Resident Services to schedule that pickup. Also, we have a bulky item pickup this Saturday, January 18th, if you have some holiday items that you need to dispose of. And again, to schedule that, you also call Resident Services, and that number is 949-597-4600. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I have a motion to accept the consent calendar?
I make the motion.
Is there a second? Thank you, Cash. We will now vote on the consent calendar. Manny would like to vote negative and his machine isn't working.
Excuse me, Cheryl, I pressed the wrong button. I meant to press no instead of yes.
Okay, I'll make that correction.
It worked.
Okay.
Okay, we're moving on to unfinished business. Elsie, would you give us the summary of the motion to increase late charges, please?
This resolution recommends an increase to the late charges applied on overdue chargeable services. This resolution does not apply to overdue assessments. The recommended increase, already approved by GRF as well as the United Finance Committee, is from $10 to $35. The monies collected from late charges go directly to offset the cost of the time expended by finance, compliance, and legal, plus supplies and postage incurred in the collection of overdue fines, fees, and chargeable services. This offset is a more equitable approach to collecting overdue amounts than having the residents underwrite these costs. I move we vote for this resolution.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Juanita, second. Let's vote on that resolution. Is there discussion? Excuse me. Is there any discussion on that resolution? All right, let's vote. All right, the resolution passes. We'll move on to new business now. Manuel, will you introduce the resolution for species-based trees trimming?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The current tree trimming schedule is based on an inspection-based rotation in which the trees are inspected every 34 months and trimmed accordingly. And what has been determined is that this is not very efficient because first they inspect the trees, and because of shortness of staff, we've also fallen behind on our schedule. We have over 15,000 trees in United Laguna Woods Village, just in our mutual, with 236 different species. So Landscape Department has come back to us and made the recommendation that we switch from a 34-month cycle to a species-based tree trimming program. And what that will do, the tree trimming requirements vary by species of trees. Some trees require they be trimmed every year, some every 2 to 3 years, some every 4 to 5 years. And with the new program, we will be trimming somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000 trees per year to complete in a 5-year cycle. So staff has determined that this is a much more practical and efficient way to do the program. So the resolution is that the Board of Directors hereby adopts a species-based trimming cycle attached to these minutes. And there's a detailed schedule that lists all of the trees. So resolve further that the officer agents of this corporation hereby authorize on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution as written. So I move that we adopt the species-based tree trimming policy beginning in this year.
Is there a second? Cash, second. Is there any discussion on this? Carl?
In principle, I think it's a great idea. The thing right now is, since I'm on the Village Energy Task Force and I'm also part of the Solar Plant Task Force, there are trees that impede lighting and there are trees that impede the solar plant, okay? So I'm assuming that the species procedure here, okay, whatever methodology we're going to use, it does not preclude the fact that on an as-needed basis, when there's a light that's obscured by a tree or the solar panels are obscured by a tree, that we're not going to cut that tree or trim it or whatever as required. That's my only concern.
Well?
Any trees that might impact the amount of sunlight that is provided to the solar panels, that will always be reviewed and trimmed as necessary. So the fact that we adopted this policy will have no effect on that. It'll still be done as needed. Thank you.
There's also the street light issue too, okay? Because those street lights get obscured by trees, and we need to make sure that we address those trees too.
I call Maxine McIntosh to the podium.
This is quite a report. A lot of good information here that I never seen presented like this before. I think it's wonderful. I would like, if you could possibly look at page 3 of 7, 13A, 3 of 7, one page of these long lists of names, and go down about a third of the way down to the G's. You look under common name, and it says golden trumpet tree, golden woods, something, golden rain tree, and so forth. All right? I'm addressing golden rain. I believe that's when I was on the GRF board some years ago, that the president, George Portlock, made the comment that this tree, it goes through 3 colorful blooming periods. And one of the colors is clusters of little tiny yellow flowers. And in big clusters, they look quite golden. And he said, we ought to call that the golden rain tree. But that, I don't believe is correct. I believe I'm making a helpful correction. The common name is Chinese flame tree. The red color stage it goes through, it looks like clusters of red hops together on the tree, and those are the Chinese flames leaping up. I bought my first tree 50 years ago in Whittier at a beautiful nursery on Whittier Boulevard, and the owner of the nursery had one of the trees right in front of the nursery, just beautiful, and that's how we got interested. And so from our tree, we started a seedling and put it in the backyard, so we had 2 in our yard. But he wrote out, the day I bought it, he wrote out the spelling, and he spelled it Coolruteria B. pinnata. Now, I wrote that down. I'll give that to Jeff if he wants to pass it along. I think it might be helpful. And here it says that there are 2 in the community. Well, I know of 9, and I haven't been looking. I just happened to notice them because they're in plain sight. We have 4 around Building 68, and these trees get huge, so they should never be planted in close to a sidewalk, and unfortunately, some of them were. Beautiful tree, but huge. There are some along Estrada near Gate 2 in a row. There's one at 111D in their front yard, and I've written all that down here. But I believe that the correct common name is Chinese flame tree, since the owner of the nursery wrote that out for me. And I hope this will be helpful. Coolruteria bipinnata. We know why we need common names, don't we? Thank you.
Cash?
The observation Maxine made, if there is a mistake in number of trees of 2020, whatever the golden trees, 2 and there is already 9, what other discrepancies do we have in this list? Maybe we need to revisit and get this corrected.
Okay, we will send that off to the landscaping. We are not voting on the tree quantities or names right now. We're voting whether we want them to trim the trees based on species. Is there any other comments on that? Okay, let's go ahead and vote. All right, the vote is in. It's unanimously passes. The yellow stake item, Manuel, would you?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The resolution regarding the Yellow Stake program is to make a change in the procedure for how this program is administered. If you look at the landscape manual, and if you look at our policies and procedures manuals, you will not actually find a section on the Yellow Stake program. There's references to the program, and it's just something that has evolved over time. And the way it presently works is that people have been able to go to resident services and just get some yellow stakes and then take them home and just put them, and it's supposed to apply to the area just adjacent to your manor where you would have bushes or flowers or similar items like that, a very limited space. And what has happened is that there's been abuses in the program. I've even been told by Kurt that there are people that have just taken wooden stakes and painted them yellow and just put them in their common area and planted whatever they wanted. So the change in the procedure now is to formalize the program, where now you will be required to fill out a landscape request form and submit it to the landscape department for approval. So it has to be submitted in advance, and then you have to identify what you're going to do and where you're going to put it and so on to get approval by the landscape committee as well as the landscape department. So it's going to be formalized. So that is what this resolution does. So the resolution that will go into effect will be that due to these and similar issues arising out of the unmanaged expansion of yellow staked areas, concerned that these areas have become viewed as an expansion in the common area, and that the fact that there has been little or no oversight or documentation of the manners with yellow stakes or the responsible party, staff recommends that the United Mutual Board of Directors change the procedure for the yellow stake program. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors hereby adopts the revised yellow stake program as stated in attachment 1. And in these minutes, you will see that there's a pretty long list of the actual steps and procedures. So that's what the resolution will cover. So it's resolved further that the officers and agents of the corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution as written. So I'd like to move that we adopt the change in the yellow stake program to what is stated in these minutes.
Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Andre seconded.
For discussion? Any discussion?
Brian?
Right here. I prepared it.
I understand that this will be grandfathered in or not, and if it is grandfathered in, how will that be tracked and entered into the program?
Pardon?
I understand that this will be grandfathered in for those who are participating in it, and how will the grandfathering be recorded? Because basically this is a recording program.
Under the existing program, the landscape department had the right to go through and review the condition of the planted areas. And if they found that it wasn't in conformance with what was desired, then they could eliminate that program for you. So anybody that has planted areas under the existing program are going to be grandfathered in, but they're still going to be subject to conforming to the new requirements. In other words, it has to be plants that are allowable, it has to be confined to the area adjacent right next to their unit. So the only thing that's changing is that for new people wanting to follow the program, they're going to be required to fill out these forms. Landscape will still be monitoring the program, whether it was somebody grandfathered in or somebody new.
Carl?
My question is sort of an adjunct to what was indicated by Brian. What's the methodology, and we may not have come up with a plan yet as what the methodology is to prove that these people have gone through that process, okay, and gotten their license or whatever the heck they want to call it, okay, to make these plantings and are actually doing that. Do we have a methodology? I mean, we had a yellow stake before. What do we got now? Green stakes, whatever? I don't know. What are we going to do now for those people?
The new program is not going to change that. It's still going to be subject to a review by the landscape department when they go out there and do their work. If they see an area that they feel is not conforming, whether it was grandfathered in or a new application, that's how that's going to be monitored.
Okay, because it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, I guess.
Case by case.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
I call to the podium Maxine McIntosh.
I believe it was about 2007 that we implemented the Yellow Stake program. It was very simple, very uncomplicated. All the Yellow Stake did was give the resident of the manor the right to reference an area in the planter usually within 6 feet of the building. They had to get a variance to plant any further out, so it was within 6 feet of the walls, that the resident was going to take care of that section where the yellow stake is. And it was pretty obvious because it looked different from the rest of it. But at any rate, that's all it did was indicate that now the resident is taking care of that. And all cleanup, all trimming, keeping it looking nice, had to be performed by the resident totally on that area. And we've always had the rule that if you plant something, you've got to keep it looking nice. You can't just do what you want. The following year, I know we had one woman who had put low chicken wire around her plants, trying to keep the bunnies out. And we told her she had to remove it. You cannot put chicken wire in the planter areas. We were watching it. But that's really what the Yellow Stake program did. And the reason people wanted that yellow stake was because especially new people moving in would see the beautiful flowers or the little dwarf lemon tree and think, oh, good, I can pick some flowers for my table. I can get some lemons for my tea. And no, once it's under the yellow stake, it's not the plant itself is not commonly owned, you might say. You knock on the door. If you want something from a yellow stake area, you check with the resident. We had, this is a long time ago, so I know this person still isn't here. We had a member of security picking oranges off a neighbor's dwarf tree. And when she spoke to him about it, he said, well, this is in common area and I live here too. So she had me go to the board. You know, I was on the board then. But anyhow, we straightened that out. So the yellow stake was simply to designate an area that the resident was taking care of. It didn't give any kind of special permission other than that. You are allowed to take care of this as long as you take care of all of it and you follow normal landscape rules. I think this could really mushroom into a big thing here, and it's going to take more staff time. It's going to cost more money. And, you know, some mention was made there of the watering of extra plants that maybe need extra water. I've walked almost every street more than once, more than 3 or 4 times here in the Mutual. I've never seen overwatering except on rare occasion, really rare occasion over the last 25 years. People lay a hose down and forget about it, but I'll knock on the door and other people should and remind them to turn their hose off. But I've never seen that as a widespread program. And I just see this as costing money and taking staff time and working out the kinks that are in it that need to be worked on. I hope you will give it more time, give it more thought before you make it a policy. Thank you.
Cash?
Heard from bottom paragraph, you say they do not require a yellow stake. I mean, does that eliminate them from using or servicing those trees and maintaining so that there's no fruit droppings on the floor? Because I do see some lemon trees and orange trees that have fruit on the floor. And I tried to stop one owner saying, hey, you better pick these up or I'm going to take that tree out. So that monitoring aspect still needs to be included, not exclude these trees as a separate paragraph intended here out of the yellow stake. Those should also be in yellow stake. I'm talking about last third from the bottom paragraph.
All right, we'll go ahead and take a vote. This is going to be on 28-day review. And we'll go ahead and take a vote now. This is not 28-day. Not 28-day. Has nothing to do with money. Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I was incorrect. This will not be on 28-day because there is no money involved in it. Okay, the vote has been taken. 731. It passed. I think that Kurt is here and he will review what we have said. Thank you. We have a unfortunate situation. Elsie, who has been working very hard as treasurer for us, has resigned due to difficulties, and we will be having to replace her. Unfortunately, she's been doing a very good job, but she has decided that this is not what she wants to do on the board. She will remain with us. We have not lost her yet. And we thank her for her service, but we will need nominations for a new treasurer. I'm opening the floor to it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to nominate Brian Gilmore for the position of treasurer.
Brian, are you willing to take it? Thank you. Is there a second? Andre seconded. Are there any other nominations for this position? Elsie?
Madam President, I'd like to nominate Manuel Armendariz for treasurer.
Manny, are you willing to take if you...
Thank you, Elsie. That's very flattering, but unfortunately, right now, my time doesn't permit me to take the position. Thank you.
All right, any other?
Madam Chair, I'd like to nominate Cash Akbar.
Cash, are you willing?
Well, thank you, Anthony, but at this time, I'm very much occupied. I cannot take any important position.
Okay, any further nominations? All right. By acclamation, we have appointed Brian as treasurer. In the future, we will see if there are others that want the job. And with that, Brian, will you give us the finance report?
Yeah, that's trial by fire, I guess. Okay. There are slides to go along with this? Okay, the first one is the income statement. And all this is through November 30th, 2019, as shown on the slide. And total revenue for United was roughly 39 million compared to an expense of roughly 41 million, with the resultant net expense of 2.77 million. Slide 2. This is operating only income, and the operating fund without depreciation or unrealized gain shows an operating deficit of $372,000 through the operating period. It shows how much revenue went into operations, with 25 million coming in from assessments and roughly 1.3 million coming from non-assessment revenues. This is compared to operating expenses of 27 million without depreciation. Next slide. This slide takes the full income statement and compares those results to the budget. And we can see that United ended the period with a budget deficit of $603,000. The variances, there was a favorable variance on employee compensation and related expenses. The water heater replacement program was moved outside. There was an upgrade methodology on the dry rot remediation, which reduced cost, and lower negotiated union medical cost and non-union retirement plans than budgeted. The unrealized gain on investments is shown next. Outside services variance, and this again was principally due to the hot water heater program that was accelerated. The board authorized a supplemental expenditure on August 13th, 2019. And then also materials and supplies for the hot water heater replacement. There were some partial offsets due to fewer interior component replacements such as kitchen faucets and bathroom countertops. This is the side of total non-assessment revenues, and shows expenses of $42 million. I'm sorry, this is the non-assessment revenues, as I said. Roughly $2 million by category, starting over our largest expenses and charges to residences, followed by interest income, unrealized gains and investments, laundry revenue, and so forth. So that's the income side. Next slide. This is expense side, and it's $42 million, showing that our largest categories are employee compensation, property taxes, followed by outside services, utilities, materials, supplies, and so forth. I just do want to mention that since property and sales tax are basically a pass-through, I've been asking, and we should see it next month, where the pie chart will exclude that part so we could get better visibility on where the expenses lie. And I do just want to point out, someone mentioned water earlier. I think Maxine might have. And sewer and water is a major expense within that slice of the pie, and it's something that everyone could impact. We did have a spike in the water expense, water usage, and I'm just suggesting that that's a place where we could all conserve as a community. Next slide. This is the fund balances, and contingency fund balance is shown there. They call it replacement. That's our reserve fund, and I think it speaks for itself. Going forward, slide 8. Yep. This is our fund reserves, and there is, we are drawing off of that, but that is per the Green Book plan. And that's used to offset fluctuations in the bills so that we maintain more consistency with the assessment funds. Next slide, please. This is a resale history, and I just want to mention here, there's people might ask, well, year over year, what's the difference? I have it here. In 2017, year to date, there were 432 units sold. In 2018, there were 331, and in 2019, there was 326. So year to date, 2019 was 5 units difference. I think that concludes the report. Thank you.
Well, you're on again, the architectural committee. Oh, okay. Juanita, please.
I'd like to make a comment about two of the things. One is on page 3 of 10, which is the monthly resale report. And I'd like to point out that our resales in December were way up. We hope this is a trend that's going to be seen in the coming months. And also on page 9 of 10, this is the monthly leasing report, and I'm really concerned because we are at 10%, which is the highest that we have been since I have been on the board. Normally, we were around 8%. And last year it went up to 9, now it's up to 10. So our subleasing rental report keeps going up, and I think something we need to be aware of. Thank you.
Should that be something included into this financial report?
It's in your financial report.
I mean, on the slides? Yeah.
Nancy, I will call on you at the end if you don't mind. All right. Architectural report.
Yeah, architectural report, we canceled the meeting in December, And we'll meet again on January 16th, which is Thursday this week.
Thank you. Communication.
Communications is in limbo at the moment. We are waiting for decisions to be made on the new Breeze magazine, the monthly Breeze that we've been getting and that we have worked so hard to put articles in, et cetera, is on hold. So the Communications Committee is just waiting for direction from our Communications Department as to the new Breeze magazine. It was going to come out in January, that was going to come out in February. Now it's end of February, maybe March. There are problems with it. So we have not, our next meeting is to be decided when we get information on that.
Anthony, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members Hearing Committee. It's noteworthy that for the people who showed up, our directors and staff, it was held the day after Christmas. We had a quorum, and another outstanding example of staff's attention to detail. We handled 14 agenda items, and a special thank you to Elsie Addington, Director, for sitting in for Andre Torn. And we had a full agenda. We worked through the lunch hour, and I thank the directors and staff for their participation, and that's the extent of my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Andre, would you give governing docs, please?
Yes, the December meeting was canceled due to holiday season, and I hope everybody has a great holiday period and enjoy life there without coming to meeting. The January meeting will be on this Thursday, 16th, day after today, 1:30 in the Signal Room on the second floor here. We will be discussing election rules updates due to Senate bill mandates. And we will authorize some board activities processes to staff, like delegating sales and lease approvals and recognition agreement for lenders. There's a question about why aren't we do these things anymore? The reason being we consider those things as staff's execution. They are executing our directions. So our job is to give directions rather than looking at over their shoulder and say, are you doing it right or wrong? We trust our staff that they will report to us that if there's anything wrong or inconsistent, they will report to us. And we also have the mechanism that residents can report to us and say, this is inconsistent with your rules. So those are the mechanisms that we build in. We also will try to establish if any board member thinks that it's necessary, board directors has the right to review any document that at their wish, and we may, if there's enough people, we may even establish an auditing team to take care of those issues, take care of those concerns. That's what we're trying to do. There's no need to approve 99% of the staff recommendations, and there's only 1%. We hope that staff will be knowledgeable enough to provide us that 1% when they come to the board applications. And also, we want the board members focusing on the direction rather than review their execution. No more micromanagement. We hope this will reduce the time and reduce staff workload to our prepared document, to preparing documents for us to view, and at least reduce the time, speed up the sales processing. If anybody interested in this process, should come to the governing doc and join our discussion. Thank you very much.
Manuel, would you give the Landscape Committee meeting, please?
Thank you, Sue. The last meeting was held December 12th, and there are a number of important things that were covered in that meeting. That's where the Landscaping Department recommended that we approve a new tree trimming schedule to a 5-year program instead of 34 months, and on a species-based program. Also, we covered the change in the yellow stake program, and he came up with a proposal for that. Dick Rader mentioned the removal of trees, and I am very pleased to state that Landscape Department has become more amenable to removing trees where they're really required to be removed. We have an overplanted area throughout our community. We have trees that are planted in planter areas. In a lot of places, they're planted in clusters. And so in that meeting, we had 6 requests for tree removals, of which we approved 5. And again, it was because there were certain places where trees just didn't belong. Where we have trees that have been toppled either because of wind or rain, in those cases, then the program is to replace those. But to replace trees simply because they've been removed is not a good program. We had quite a few members at that meeting that expressed concern about the quality of the landscape, of the lawn maintenance, and I had to agree with them. But Kurt volunteered some very good information that the community should become aware of, and that's that this coming spring, the program will be that throughout the United Mutual, all the heavy thatch is supposed to be cut down, way down to almost a bare level. And also, where areas need to be aerated, they will aerate it, and that's where they punch the holes into the ground. And that helps to create better growth. And they'll reseed many of the areas where it needs to be reseeding. And hopefully by June, early summer, midsummer, his expectation is that we will have a much better looking lawn area throughout United. So that was very good news to hear, particularly since we had so many, let's say, dissatisfied members at that meeting. The next meeting for the Landscape Committee will be held February 13th, 9:30 a.m. in the boardroom. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Carl, would you give the M&C report, please?
Thank you, Sue. The last meeting of the United M&C Committee was supposed to be held on December 25th, but due to other reasons, it was canceled, obviously. The next meeting is scheduled for February 26th at 9 a.m. in the boardroom. At that meeting, we will discuss the next steps that our electrical consultant will be taking regarding the review of our electrical infrastructure. We will also be discussing the handyman program and also the priority of projects that we anticipate doing this year within United. We did that yesterday at the GRF M&C Committee meeting, so we'll be doing it for United. Please come and get involved February 26th at 9 a.m.
Thank you. Nada, would you give the Resident Advisory Committee report, please?
Actually, it's not the report, I'm just introducing.
I'm going to save the handyman for the end, end of the reports, because there are people that want to comment on it and so forth.
Okay, it's just not the report, but introducing what we are doing in the United Resident Advisory Committee. Is honored to serve the members' concern. Please bring issues, problem, or suggestion to the staff and committee. The committee and the staff then take appropriate actions or directly help residents. United Resident Advisory is here to listen to your problems and find the best solution for it. There is no speaking time limit. Residents are allowed to fully express their issues. The committee held on December 12th. Our next meeting gonna be on January 16th at 4 o'clock in Sycamore Room. Please share your concerns and solution with us. Thank you.
Okay, Cash, please take the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The board requested a revisit to the handyman program after 2018 program pilot failed, when earlier introduction had failed. The committee came up with an approach to break down the task into 3 possible segments. Introducing today is segment A, the simple work where professionally trained personnel are not required. For example, changing light bulbs, flipping mattresses, moving furniture, etc., etc. Our research revealed a company, Neighboring Inc., who has been putting college students supporting themselves with pretty petty jobs to work for them to service needy people such as us. And they have been working with the villagers through the social services group for the last year and a half or almost 2 years. I do want to say they have been doing a good job so far, but I do want to read a disclaimer kind of, because we need to have this read into the report. The residents have the prerogative to employ whoever they choose to perform chores. However, the Handyman Task Force and the United Board have reviewed the work that has been done by neighboring and found that based on that past experience, they have provided a good product. United has also negotiated better rates with them that will be used if Laguna Woods residents call them to ask them to perform the service listed on their brochure. A copy of their brochure is also attached in this. Please note that all calls are made to neighboring directly and all transactions are done through them. Resident services should not be contacted for any of these tasks. Please also note that both residents and neighboring are releasing Laguna Woods Mutual of any liability regarding any of the services provided by the neighboring Inc. They are light-duty handyman type services, and as such, no major problems are anticipated when they do the work for which they are hired. Any technical work requiring plumbing, electrician, or carpenter or painter will not be done by neighboring Inc. A second phase of Handyman 2020 program that identifies such technical work is currently under review and is expected to be released in a few months. So it is between the neighboring and United residents, and anybody else in the village wants, they can, but it's up to them. But United is strictly released of any liability issues. And that concludes my report. The next meeting hasn't been scheduled yet because I'm going to do a little pilot with first 10 or 15 people that come through, and then release this program 100%. Thank you.
Okay, Nancy, would you like to speak?
Well, Cash pretty well expressed it, but what I wanted to do was encourage the board to consider this very, very seriously and also to vote for it, because there are so many people around here that need the little things done, the honeydew services, that, when you get old, what can I tell you? I can't reach things anymore, so I have to have a lot of things done for me that I used to do before, because I'm not about to climb around on step stools and what have you. But I know there was some concern on the board about the liability. And again, if anybody has rental insurance or own homeowner's insurance, by the state of California law, you have workman's comp coverage. So if you have insurance on your unit, you are covered. If you don't, then the $5 per hour, you're insuring not yourself, but you're insuring the worker. And you can buy that for a cheap $5 an hour. So I do hope that the board will look at this. I thought perhaps this was going to be a vote. I guess it has to go through the M&C committee for the vote.
It's a done deal.
Oh, is it a done deal? Well, then I'm superfluous. Thank you.
One quick thing.
Yes, go ahead, Cash.
There is no upfront charge like we used to have last year. So it is pay as you go, and it's $25 first hour, and any additional hour is $23. And Josh Mundell, the CEO, is here, and everything I'm expecting to be smooth. So let's hope him luck, and let's hope our people use him properly and at their own responsibility. Thank you.
Deborah, would you like to speak? And then I'll get you in. Thank you. For some reason, duplicated. Yes.
Hi, Deborah Sacker, 42, Unit D. I communicated to Cash a few months ago by email my frustration that they canceled the program. And my feeling about it is, and was at the time, and what I communicated to you, was that I did not feel there was an adequate advertisement, and information procedure so that people in the village really knew what this program was about. I talked to many, many people, my entire cul-de-sac, whoever I see at the dog park, whatever. Nobody knew about it. And I think with family members that live up in Rossmore, I know this program, there was some kind of consultation and discussion about the program, similar program they have up there. They love it, and it's been successful up there. And I suggested a number of things to you in that email. I talked about what if instead of committing people to $200 for a year, they had said, why don't we try $50 for a quarter of a year? See if they use it. People may not want to spend $200 up front if they don't know what they're getting. Money is money. And I suggested creating vouchers for the clubs to raffle off or for prizes at some of their events that allowed them to have one visit. Many ways, I didn't see it on any of the emails. I'm sure it was. I'm registered for any of all the community emails. I admit I have a really crazy busy life outside of the village. But I finally saw it on the message board. And by the time I called, it was canceled. I was in Marbell's office, and Vince, the guy that was working on the team, or the main guy, said, no, it's gone. And I said, well, were you busy? He said, yeah, we were really busy. So I don't understand. I don't know the history. I don't know what the discussions were. I know people were refunded who did not get to use their full annual participation fee. But boy, I would like to see it maybe fine-tuned, but rebooted and really make sure people are advocating for the program so we know what we're refusing, so we know what we're losing, so we know what it's capable of doing for us. I think it was a real boon. For someone like me, that outside of my taxes.
This is what we're introducing,
Right.
and
I'm
we
just
will be
defending
introducing
it, yeah.
more. And so we have heard people, and we are going forward with the handyman program. We're going to have 2 phases of it, and this is the first phase. So please sign up with him, and
Yeah.
we're here. Okay. Elsa?
Thanks.
Right along those lines with what our resident was saying, Cash, could you give us the phone number to call one more time if we want to make an appointment with this
The
handsome
phone
gentleman
number
over here?
for neighboring is area 949-322-4923. And there's a little procedure on the back side on page 66 that tells you what is involved. In addition to that, you will have to sign a indemnification letter with the United. And neighboring has already signed that letter with us.
I just wanted to make sure that the folks at home that don't have one of these would have access to that phone number, because we want them all to, so you're doing a great job there, Cash.
Yeah, we do have did advertise it last week on TV, and it's coming here, and it'll be talked about again, and handouts will be made out shortly. We don't know how we're going to do it, at no cost to United Mutual at all.
Dick, if you would like to speak, please go right ahead, and then we're going to move on in the meeting.
Is there any possibility that the handout could be placed in the clubhouse things? That would, I think, be a good idea.
Thank you for the suggestion.
We're going to the GRF meetings, and you're on, Director Skillman, for the Finance Committee.
It's my privilege to sit in for Director Addington, who was at a different meeting at the GRF Finance Committee. And the main things that were covered at that were an update on our changing of our investment to a new company, and that all the holdings with BlackRock had been liquidated and reinvested with our new company. page view. We also got a report on the insurance program for 2020 because that was a big issue this year. Our insurance premiums went up so high, and so we got a report on that and how it was going to be looked at in the coming year. The GRF Finance Committee unanimously recommended to their board to approve supplemental funding for the Gate 11 security improvements. Gate 11 was the one gate that was left off of our original funding plan for the different gates, and that carried unanimously. So the next meeting is coming up on February 19th at 1:30 here in the boardroom. And some of the things they're going to be looking at are Finance Committee charter and discussing non-voting advisors.
Okay, you ready for the CAC?
CAC meeting met January 9th, and some of the things that were looked at were the huge recreation schedule. There's so much going on, and they're trying to fit a lot into a short period of time because we anticipate the PAC Performing Arts Center will be closed down the 1st of May for 6 months while rehabs are being done on that. And so they're trying to get as much in as possible before that. And the next meeting will be March 12th at 1:30 p.m. here in the boardroom.
Manuel, landscape, please.
Thank you, Sue. At the last GRF Landscape Committee meeting was December 4th, and I reported on that at the last meeting, but I'll briefly touch on that again. Most of the members that attended that meeting were quite pleased because the creek had been given a pretty good cleanup. And in addition to that, this month, they're supposed to go through it again. Unfortunately, if we have some heavy rains again like we did last year, of course, the area will suffer. But the other thing that's been completed is they did a complete survey of the area. So even if it gets a little bit unsightly, we will now be able to tell what areas United is responsible for and what GRF is responsible. So some of the cleanup should be improved into the future. Kurt also volunteered that he had met with Fish and Wildlife, and they're happy with the condition of the creek right now. And he let them know that we want to create more of an open area going from where the bridge is towards Paseo de Valencia. And he proposed that they open it up some more and remove some of the cattails. Now, he's also talked to them about a program where it costs money because you can buy credits in order to utilize the removal of cattails. So he's looking into both programs, trying to do it just by getting them to allow us to be a little more aggressive on the removal of cattails, or perhaps some kind of a purchase of credits. So our overall meeting was very positive. Our next meeting will take place February 12th, and I look forward to any new developments at that meeting. Thank you.
Carl, will you do maintenance?
Yeah, I'll do maintenance, the PAC, and the Village Energy Task Force in that order. The MNC committee, GRF MNC committee was scheduled for December 11th, was canceled, and it was held yesterday. Basically, it was held to address the task force they want to put together for Clubhouse 1. Plus, we went over a number of the priority projects that are specifically going to be scheduled for this year. While we went through that project schedule, we were able to defer or change or actually cancel some of those projects and possibly save approximately $2 million, which was allocated for that. However, the PAC, which I'll go into in a minute, that particular project is over budget and it hasn't even started yet, except for the engineering and design work that's been done. by about $1 million. And most of that work needs to get done because of the fact it's a safety issues. So along with that, I will discuss the fact that our next GRF M&C meeting is February 12th at 9:30 in the boardroom, and everyone's invited. With regard to the PAC, at that meeting, we discussed the fact that we are looking at the current scope for, and we had that meeting, on November 20th, and we also had that meeting yesterday with regard to the PAC issues, and the scope right now for that is going to be reviewed. For the most part, as I say, most of that is safety issues, so a lot of that cannot be removed. But at this particular point in time, with these other projects that we're able to cancel or rescind or postpone till the following year, we will have possibly money to reallocate to that PAC work. So that's going to be reviewed over the next month or so. And then with regard to the Energy Task Force, this meeting hadn't been held in a number of months, and we finally held it on January 10th. So we had a full agenda that it took us 4.5 hours to complete. And Bert Moldow was elected as the new chairman of that task force. That task force will possibly be given a new name called a, what do they call it? Research group. Yeah, there you go. And it'll have the same, we basically are a think tank, okay? It'll have the same responsibilities, but the term task force has certain connotations that people get offended by, so we're going to use the word research group probably. And the next meeting for that particular research group will be March 14th at 1:30 p.m. in the boardroom. All residents are invited to our research group. Thank you.
Juanita, would you do the Media and Communications, please?
Right. Media Communications Committee met on December 16th, and some of the highlights of that meeting were, first of all, Chuck Holland gave a report on broadband and our contracts for TV6 for the coming year. And one of the big things that was brought forward was we have canceled Fox Sports Net and Sportsnet West. And some people were saying, okay, we canceled that. They were way too expensive. They wanted half of our budget just to continue those two stations. And, but terminating those channels, people are saying, where do I see a discount in my assessments because we terminated their accounts? And it wasn't. These were known when we went through the budget process, and the short savings that we had were allocated in other costs. So you're not going to see a discount on your assessment because of these. A couple of other things. We Director Arlene Pollan talked about the training for all boards that we're supposed to have in January. And one of the things that is very interesting, I thought, and the committee was very impressed with, is they have scheduled 26, I believe, neighborhood meetings in 2020. Instead of a big town hall where everybody would come with lots of different ideas, they're going to have them by neighborhoods. And they've already set those up and gotten the room scheduled so that they will go forth to meet with residents. There will be board members there will be staff members there, and residents are encouraged to come and discuss things that are going on. As for the new magazine, The Breeze as a magazine that will be coming out, it's being underwritten 100% by Memorial Care. I was going to say, sure, there, Memorial Care. So it's going to save us quite a bit of money. The current Breeze is $4 an issue, or about $3,200 a month. So this is going to be a nice savings on this magazine. It will not be coming out every month. I believe now it's scheduled every other month. And there will be an editorial board composed of the members of the Media Communications Committee that will help in developing that and the articles for it. The committee charter was looked at and updated by our chair, and the next meeting will be January 22nd. Usually we're on a Monday, but since January 20th is Martin Luther King Day and it's a holiday, we'll be meeting on Wednesday next week at 9:30 here in the boardroom. And some of the things that we'll be looking at is there's a subcommittee that was formed of Director Pat English and Director Rader from VMS to look at ways of getting more income and revenue into different activities that we have. So just remember, it won't be on the 20th, it will be on the 22nd, which is a Wednesday, and of course, everybody's invited to that meeting.
Elsie, would you do the Mobility and Vehicle Committee, please?
You betcha, Madam President. I'm really, really, really excited to announce for those of you that have been living on Mars and haven't caught this in any of the blasts that we send out or watching anything, but our bus system starts on January the 20th with a complete revamp. Same buses, same drivers, but different schedules. And I'm just, this has been a long time coming, and a lot of people have worked really hard to get this done, and I'm just tickled pink, but I'm easily entertained. The last meeting that the Mobility and Vehicles Committee actually had was on November the 27th, but there's been a lot of committee work with GRF and different, it's, taken a while to get to the final okay. And that's been done, I believe, November 27th, and then the last I's dotted and T's crossed. I'm so excited. There's going to be an expanded fixed route schedule operating every half hour from Monday through Saturday. So those of you that have never ridden a bus before, I didn't realize there were that many people out there that haven't. It's really easy to find out where a bus stop is. There's usually a bench there, and if you're sitting in an exposed place on a bench and you see a bus coming, even if it isn't the actual bus stop, you can usually wave them down and ask them. But better yet, you should call transportation, and I'm going to get there in a minute, but I'm trying to keep down the calls while we're just getting this off the ground. That's going to be part of it, because every half hour, now it's every hour. So that's really amazing, and it's going to be on Saturday. Right now, it's only Monday through Friday, and as of the 20th, it'll be going through Saturday, which is terrific also. In addition, there's something that we've now called Boost, which is replacing the old Planner Ride. And the old Planner Ride was great, but it was just overwhelmed. And the Boost on-demand ride service is in partnership with the Lyft rideshare. And, Lyft, that's like that other rideshare that everybody uses. Anyway, it's available from 8 to 9 in the morning and 5 to 10 in the evening, Monday through Saturday. You'll notice that isn't all day. So the on-demand ride service is only available 8 to 9 and 5 to 10, Monday through Saturday. And then on Sunday from 8 in the morning to 5 in the evening. So we'll still provide weekend. We good? I thought maybe somebody had a question, sorry. Where was I? And then there's something called the Journey Ride Service. And without going into a whole lot of detail, this is the old, like the disability, we called it Lyft in those days, but that we don't want to use that word again because there's another Lyft. So it's for pre-approved riders with special transportation needs. There's a screening involved, and if you were screened before under the old system, you'll still be on the list, but that's what it is for people with medically approved disabilities that need, and we have 2 vans for that with a wheelchair access. The fixed ride schedules include dedicated commercial routes as well as a dedicated bus serving medical destinations. And you can learn about the new village transportation features at Clubhouse 1 on January 29th. We've been having information sessions both at the towers and at Clubhouse 1 on several different occasions. I think this will be the last one, I'm not sure. And it's at 10 o'clock, Clubhouse 1, January 29th. That will have all these details and hopefully a nice handout. I guess it was Marcom that put out this really nice handout about the new routes. And the new service starts on January 20th. And watch for more info in village emails and on the village website. On the village website, if you go up in the search box and put transportation, it'll take you to this information. Clubhouse 1 will be the hub for all this. And the next meeting is February 5th at 1:30 in the boardroom of the Mobility and Vehicles Committee. And I just want to give a thanks to Chris Lagenauer and his team, including Francisco, the drivers, and all the support staff. Thank you very much.
Cash?
Thank you, Madam Chair. One quick thing, Ms. Addington. We have bus stops, but bus will pick anybody up on the road or bus route anywhere. Because we have some people with wheelchairs and stuff like that that don't necessarily have to go to the bus stop.
Right, but I don't want everybody to think that you can just go onto any street and wave down a bus, because
Yes.
you can, but if
You
everybody
should-
just does that, it might slow things down
Doesn't
just a
matter.
tad.
Our
I don't know.
people need that.
I can look into it and
Please.
I don't know. I don't know if that's encouraged by the transportation department or not. I just
It
go to
better
a
be.
bench. But I know that if you flag them down, they will stop for you because I've
They're
done it
supposed to.
before. Right.
Go ahead, Andre.
I've done that before, so it is allowed that anybody within the village can wave down the bus to stop and pick
I know
them
it's
up.
possible.
Yeah, but not outside the village. Not outside. Yeah. When it's inside the village, yes, they can. They will encourage you to stop at the bench or the regular stop. But if you are, slow and on wheelchair, you cannot catch up, or on the other side of the street, just wave them up and wave them down. They will stop and pick you up.
I'm sorry, sir. I thought that's what I said, but obviously not, or you wouldn't understand.
Thank
it. But
you.
no, I've got one more thing though, and it's outside the village. I'm glad you brought this up. Outside the village, you can wait for our buses at any OCTA bus stop. You might have to stand up and let them know you're there, but they'll stop, and that's out on El Toro Road or on Moulton. So, thank you.
Okay. Netta, would you give us the security report?
The security committee meeting was canceled on December 23rd on 2019, and the next one is going to be on January 20th. But as I heard Juanita says that January 20th is the holiday. Yes? I don't know if they are going to cancel it again or not. I don't have any report for that. But it's going to be on January 20th.
Siobhan?
Martin Luther King Day.
We are open on the 20th.
Oh, we don't have. Okay. It's going to be on January 20th at 1:30 p.m. in the boardroom.
All right, you're back on, Elsie, with the traffic report.
This one isn't near as exciting as buses, but it's vital to our community. The Traffic Committee met on December 18th, 2019. The committee's purpose is to make sure our community is protected from excessive speeding and other traffic violations which can jeopardize the safety of our residents. Running stop signs is still the most popular offense, as well as the most dangerous. So please, just come to a stop, please, and then you'll stop getting tickets. Traffic school is an allowable option for some violators, but mostly not. So don't count on going to traffic school. And we're just trying to keep people safe here. You know, when you run through a stop sign, all kinds of bad things can happen. You can hit another car, you can hit a person, people rely on you to stop. This is not a good neighborhood to run stop signs in. Anyway, The hearing results are in village only, and the results are not given to the DMV nor insurance companies. And at the last meeting, 20 people were scheduled for hearing, and of those, 3 didn't show up, resulting in the automatic determination of the fines proposed by security. Of the 17 who appeared, 13 were found to be responsible for the offense and to deserve the fine. 2 had the offense and the fine waived, and 2 were found responsible for the offense but received no fine. So that's like 5 out of 20. That's like 25% or something, got some mitigation. 1 resident had his charges dropped altogether. 3 people appealed to the committee by letter, but all 3 were determined to be responsible for the offense and fined. The next traffic hearing committee will be held on Wednesday, January 15th, 2020 at 9 o'clock. But I don't know why we always announce that, because you can't really, it isn't for the whole world to come to. It's not really an open meeting because it's a hearing. But anyway, thank you very much. That's my report.
Ash, would you give the disaster preparedness?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chief Tim Moy is leaving to pastures closer to his house, to his home, but he was kind enough to give us an excellent DPTF, or disaster preparedness program, not only followed by us, but by many other neighboring cities. He's also kind enough to assist in selecting his successor. And so he will stay here for the rest of the month, and I think part of next month. Low sales for disaster supplies was reported, and members are advised to adequately stock up for at least 3 days of water and food, because it's a good idea to be prepared upfront rather than start looking for things when the disasters happen. A lot of good neighbor captains are needed in our community. And it's a very good thing to volunteer your time to get to know your neighbors and help them and help yourself as a volunteer. All the package is done, ready by the DPTF task force. What you need to do, and it's not much work. DPTF, or the Disaster Preparedness Task Force, provides all the necessary forms and training. Also get a free yellow jacket if you want. And next meeting is on January 28th, 9:30 in this room, at 9:30. Yeah. That's it, that's my.
Okay. We'll move on to director's comments. We'll start with Netta. Do you have any comments?
The only things that I just want to ask, the Juanita says that we are going to have a meeting in the different clubhouse with the neighbor. Do we have the schedule for it? No, not yet?
It hasn't been published, but it's out there. We have the places reserved, so I'm sure they can give that to you.
The schedule is forthcoming, yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you so much. That's it, thank you.
Anthony?
Madam Chair, I have nothing, thank you.
Elsie?
I just wondered if we're going to talk about the phone call, payment on the phone call last meeting.
We will do that in closed session, please.
I just was asking. Thank you.
Juanita?
All right. There were comments, both in our member comments and from Jeff and from Andre, about things like signing of a resale, and these has not been done, despite what was said on television by Andre. Beside what was said by Jeff today, the board has not voted on that. The board has not decided. And January 16th at document review, the proposal will be put forth. I just got it in my box this morning, have barely had a time to read it. So it is not a done deal. And if residents out there have some comments on it or feelings about it, please come to the document review committee on December 16th. Oh, excuse me.
January.
Let's try January.
No, I have nothing to say except if it's 11:29, is this some sort of a record?
We got to make it by 11:30. Andre?
Oh, okay.
Just a happy new year to everyone. Yes, and we need more volunteers. We want to hear from your voice. You don't have to come to the board meeting to express your opinion, but you can send emails and call us and let us know what you think about the issues. We are your voice. Thank you very much.
Manny?
No comment.
Cash?
Couple of comments. Andre sure has changed after signing the code of conduct this year. And he is looking at doing all kinds of changes, but please have a long-term view before you suggest things that don't make sense. And thank you for your support in everything that you did and you're trying to do and changing your attitude.
Reza?
I have one critical comment. This is regarding selection of committee chairs. I think this should be based on merits, background, and experience, and is not being done like that. For example, Energy Task Force is basically electrical, and I'm the electrical engineer, I'm not in it. One, architectural control, people should have experience in relevant construction activities, and the chair is not. Not just in this board, but in previous board as well. This will not help the village if it continues. Thank you.
I appreciate your input. Brian?
No comment.
At this point, I will recess the meeting. We will reconvene at 1 o'clock for the closed meeting. Thank you to everyone who stayed with us. We will be working on many things this month, and we hope that you will join us and help us because we have a lot to get done before the end of the year. Thank you.